Greetings. My name is Vince DeNoto, and I am the author of this course and also your instructor. Let me welcome you to CIT 299. CIT 299 is a special topics class, and our topic is going to be Python for mapping. So we're going to look at how Python scripts work when we're trying to make a map. Specifically, we're going to be looking at ArcGIS and using Python with ArcGIS Desktop. This video is going to be created in two parts. We're going to have one part of the video which is going to be me just explaining information to you, and you'll be able to see some stuff to my right here, and that's going to be some PowerPoint slides that we're going to put in behind me. And then the other part is I'm going to be sitting at a computer desktop, and I'm going to be showing you exactly what the syllabus looks like for the class. So I'm not going to talk too much about specifics of the syllabus right now. I'll do that in the second half of the video. In the first half, I'm going to give you more of a concept understanding of what we're doing. But one of the things that you're going to find that you have to do before you really get into the meat of this class is you've got to take something called a syllabus quiz. The syllabus quiz, you must get 100% on it. And it's very straightforward, the syllabus quiz. It's not a real difficult quiz. It serves a couple purposes. One, it shows that you've actually been in the class and have actually accessed the material in the class. The other one is that you have read the syllabus for the class and you truly understand what you're expected to do in this course. This course is going to be designed into 3 modules. These 3 modules will not be equally weighted on your grade. Each module requires that you take a pretest. No matter if you don't know anything about Python or you feel like you're an expert in Python, everybody must take this pretest. If you score 90% on the pretest or higher, and generally pretest has 20 questions, so basically if you miss 1 or 2 questions or no questions, then you will get a 90% on the pretest. If you do score this 90%, you can go straight to the ending assessment for this module. If you score 90% on that, and you will have a rubric to know what is expected of you in that final assessment, if you score 90% on that, then you can actually test completely out of a module and not have to cover any of the content within that module. Now we assume most people probably are not going to score 90% on the test and or 90% on the ending assessment. For those people who score less than 90% on the pretest, you're going to drop down and learn material that's going to be useful to doing your final assessment. So basically you'll have some assignments, you're going to have some pictures of screen captures that you're going to turn in, but you're going to have assignments that you turn in. Then you're going to do the ending assessment, and this ending assessment, if you score 75% or higher, you'll move on to the next module. If you score less than 75% on this ending assessment, you'll be able to come back and fix problems that you had, and I will give you some descriptive comments on where there were problems. You'll be able to fix problems that you had and then resubmit. Once you get 75% or higher, you'll move forward. The pretests do not count as part of your grade. It's just to check to see how much you know on the subject before you move into that module. So let me tell you a little bit about this course. Python is a scripting language. It's an open source scripting language. But we're not trying to make you Python programmers. That's not the purpose of this course. Instead, we're trying to teach you some small scripts or how to write some small scripts that are going to be useful to you in mapping. Specifically, Esri's ArcGIS Desktop we're going to concern ourselves with. So how can you automate some of the processes you do? Maybe you're doing a merging command and you know how many times you have to click your mouse to make the merging command work. You could write that in a few lines of code and then the merging would run automatically and you wouldn't have to do all those mouse clicks. We're going to assume that you're an experienced GIS user, that you've taken at least one GIS class before you get to this Python for mapping course. If you've never taken a GIS class, then you may be having problems just with the GIS part of it, not necessarily the Python part of it, so you'd be learning two concepts at the same time. We're going to create processes. Basically, eliminating mouse clicks is the way to think of this. We're going to teach you some editing techniques to edit scripts. We're going to use an editor to write our scripts in, and we're going to be outside of ArcGIS Desktop. We're not going to actually be using ArcGIS Desktop for most of the class, but we're going to just be using an editor, and when we run it, it'll actually change shape files or create new shape files, but we won't be inside ArcGIS Desktop. Kind of an interesting concept. So let me explain to you a couple different concepts that we're going to cover. Now, this is by no way all the concepts we're going to cover, but I thought it might be good just to get a feel for some of the things we're going to do. So something that we do very often in GIS is we do a clipping. A clipping is we take a shape file, we draw a boundary around it that what we want to keep. We're going to keep what's inside that boundary. We're going to throw what's outside that boundary away, and we create a new shape file. That's basically what the command does. You tell it the input file, you tell it the boundary file, and you tell it the name for the new file. We can write that in one line of code inside of Python. Think about how many mouse clicks it took you to do that. Say you have a repetitive process where you want to do a process over and over again, but changing parameters. For example, you want to rename the name of a bunch of railroad tracks where they use abbreviations and you want the full name to be there. So what you do is you would rename one manually, go in and rename the next one manually. Well, in just a few lines of script, we'll be able to rename everything in a shapefile, every instance in it, and not have to worry about fixing it. Or say you have a yes-no answer. Capital Y-E-S and capital N-O are different than lowercase y-E-S and lowercase n-O. If you want to fix the ones that were done wrong, this would be a looping type operation. So those are some of the things we could be doing. I know one of the things that I spend a lot of time on is exporting maps. I need to export the map for a poster that I'm going to create, for a website I'm going to create, maybe to print out in hard copy, and so I got to go through the export command multiple times. We could do this in just 4 or 5 lines of script, the export, and not have to go through that manual process, which is time consuming each time. So we're going to use this smart editor, and this smart editor is going to give us the ability to write these scripts very effectively. Little tiny mistakes, a missing comma, a capitalization difference will mess up the script, and you'll have to go back and make edits. So it's not going to auto-correct problems for you. You might have thought the word addresses and the word addresses, so capital A for addresses and lowercase a for addresses are the same variable. They're actually 2 different variables, and if you don't put those 2 different variable names in correctly, then you're going to have problems. Now you can use Python with lots of different mapping programs. We're going to be using it with ArcGIS Desktop. You could use it in ArcGIS Pro, but that Python that we use in ArcGIS Pro is different than the Python we use in Desktop because one is a 32-bit machine and one's a 64-bit operating system. We could use it in QGIS, but its library is a different library than what we use in the Esri products. So we've got these similarities, but yet they have some discrete differences that we'd have to modify a script we wrote for Desktop to use it in QGIS. But it would be very similar to what we did in QGIS and also in Desktop. So that will give you a little bit of knowledge about what this class is about. I'm now going to go to my desktop and I'm going to log in and go through the syllabus with you and also the whole course content so you understand exactly how everything is composed for this class. Welcome. We're back and now you can see my computer screen. I've already logged into Blackboard and I've started with the start here. So that's what you're seeing on my screen right now. And so you can see some welcome messages here and you can see the steps that we go through. So this is where you're going to come in when you first come into the class. Over on the left hand side you see a menu bar as well as another set of menus across the top. We're going to first go down here to the syllabus, and I'm going to click on that, and this is going to open up the syllabus. And you can see here some basic things about course etiquette. Down here on the bottom, and we'll get to this in just a moment, you'll see Syllabus Quiz. But we're going to start here at the top by going and looking at the syllabus. And when I open up the syllabus, the first thing I want you to note is it's not one page long, but it shows up as 8 separate pages. If you only look at the first page, you're only going to have a little bit of the information about the class. So it's a 3 credit hour class, basically 45 contact hours. And you can see here that we've broken the class into different levels of depth. We figure like the first module of the class is worth about a half a credit hour, second module is worth about a 1 credit hour, and then the third module is worth by far the most. It's worth 1.5 credit hours, which is a half of the total class. As you go through here looking at the syllabus, you can see there are withdrawal dates shown, and if I go to the next page, you can see the outline of the class is shown in the general education competencies, and so far and so forth. I'm not going to go through every individual page of the syllabus. I leave that to you to go and take a look at. So we're just going to go and close this window, go back to the Start Here window, and as I said, you are required to take a syllabus quiz, but what if you try to bypass the syllabus quiz? What happens? So I'm going to try to bypass the syllabus quiz. So I'm going to go over here to Module 1, and immediately I get this stop sign here, this hand raised, and what that's saying is you can't go anywhere else until you take the syllabus quiz. So the syllabus quiz is a trigger to get you into the class. Without the syllabus quiz, you can't move forward. So I'm going to go back over to syllabus, and go down here to the bottom where it says syllabus quiz, and note when I click on that, it's going to tell me I have 30 minutes to do this. I have to get 100% on the syllabus, and over here on the right hand side we have a begin button. Well, obviously in this video I'm not going to take the syllabus quiz on the video so that you see all the correct answers, but we want to make sure you do read the syllabus. So I am going to pause the video for a few moments, and I'm going to take the syllabus quiz so that I can then move into the class just like you would be moving into the class and seeing some of the component parts. Okay, we're back. I've taken the syllabus quiz. I have scored 100% on it. So now if you notice, I'm on the syllabus page again, and I see a different diagram than I saw before, and that is showing me that I have passed the syllabus quiz. So then if I try to go down to Module 1, you're going to see I see this stop sign. The reason I see this stop sign is I've not yet taken the pretest. I have to take the pretest. It doesn't matter what I score on the pretest, but I've got to take the pretest before I can move forward. Now remember, if we score 90% and above, you're on your way to trying to pass out of the course. But we assume most people are going to probably score less than 90% here, and then you go into the class materials. Since I'm stopped here, I'm not going to go in and take the pretest right now, but I'm going to show you what the course then would look like. So you'll come in and you'll see things like course overview, course composition, our methodology, and so on and so forth. We have storylines that we've created. You should always watch all the storylines we created. We also have printer-friendly versions so that you can just print this out if you'd like to have a hard copy instead of seeing it on a website. And then there's always a button that takes you to the next section, and our next section would be the editor. I'm in the beginning part of number 1, and so it talks a little bit about editors, and then the next section is logic and formatting, and you can see what's there, and so on and so forth. Eventually you'll get to places which will have assignments for you to do, or example code. I'm just going to jump to topic 3, and now we're in programming mode. We're talking about some of the functionality we're going to learn in this section. Going to look a little bit about ArcPy. Notice we use symbolism. where you need to have data, there's a symbolism for data, and you can get data and download the data for this class. You don't have to find the data yourself. We've already created all the data you need for the class. And then you can see sections where we actually show the actual code that we're going to be using. So this is sort of how the class is composed. You have 3 case studies at the end, one at the end of each module, and you have these pre-tests that must be taken no matter what you score. It doesn't include it in your grade, and some people might be moving towards passing out, but most people probably then go through all the assignments that are required for the class. Enjoy being in the Python for Mapping class, and we look forward to seeing your questions and trying to provide input for you.